Green YouTube. So I was reading a thread the other day, and I think it might have been on Fark, which I admit has a large static to signal ratio. But I still enjoy going to Fark. It can be quite entertaining. And it was a political thread, and someone commented that the United States seems to be moving towards a position where it's going to become the bad guy. And I was stopped in my tracks that someone would actually think that the United States could potentially, at some future point, become the bad guy. Have Have you never read history? Have you never studied actual history? Not the propaganda they teach in our school systems. No, no, no. Actual history. I'm sure a little bit of it sneaks in through the curriculum, but I'm sure also that the conservatives out in America will be soon out there stamping out the actual knowledge that is being conveyed to children in preference to more propaganda. Because America's been the bad guy since America was founded, since the ink was still wet on the Declaration of Independence. We've been the bad guy. Remember, when we finally got around to penning a constitution, which then established a functional, well, in theory, a functional government with our American ideals. Do you know who could vote in America? Well, women weren't allowed, so that was half the population right there. Black people were slaves, so obviously they couldn't vote. All varieties of people of color other than that, Asian people, Hispanic people, Native Americans, those who had lived here for thousands and thousands of years before the Europeans invaded, they couldn't vote either. I don't believe Jewish people could vote either. I don't think that was allowed. You couldn't vote unless you were a landowner, so everyone that wasn't a property owner couldn't vote. So not only was it misogynistic, racist, but it was classist from the get-go. Eventually they did away with the landowner thing because they wanted more men engaged in the government process so that more white men could then vote. And that's how it was established for a very long time. And even though we are, in theory, a secular government, there was significant prejudice in America against anyone that wasn't Christian. Even the Catholics had a hard time for a long time. Remember, when the Klan was established in the South, one of the groups that they were opposed to was the Catholics. They eventually loosened up that particular rule so they could pull in more bigots to join their ranks. We've been mucking with other governments from the get-go. We've been crushing dissidents in America from the get-go. One of the first things that was done after the establishment of the government was to crush a rebellion over taxation. The Whiskey Rebellion. We've never been the good guys. We have occasionally done things that ended up being good after the fact. But very rarely have we ever been the good guys intentionally. I know everyone's going to point to World War II, but let's face it. When you're comparing anyone to the Nazi regime, it isn't hard to look good. But then again, America has decided that they would like to adopt the Nazi regime now. So that comparison is getting a little bit threadbare now, isn't it? We've never been the good guys. And I don't think we're ever going to be the good guys. Not as long as we fail to live up to the ideals that we established centuries ago. Literally centuries ago. And we have yet to live up to them. We have yet to have equality in America. We have yet to stop screwing with other countries with our government and with our economic policies. To stop exploiting people, both domestically and internationally. The United States was established on a foundation of genocide and slavery. And we've never made reparations for that. We've never directly faced it and said, you know, yeah, we did those things. Because that would be too ugly. That would run counter to the political propaganda that's passed off as history in our school systems. So don't for a second think that we're the good guys. because we aren't. Just go ask the families of the people that we have murdered. Hundreds of thousands of them by invading countries. By economically controlling them. We're not going to become the bad guys. We've been the bad guys from day one.